Revolutionary greetings, comrades. It's a Red Sunday today, our first Red Sunday political discussion or political education, the 8th of January 2023. Compliments, comrades. We hope you had a great time. This morning on our Red Sunday, we are looking into President Lula of Brazil. Before we continue, let me thank the Zimbabwe Communist Party Political Commissar and the Acting Secretary of International Affairs, Comrade Ian Bidos. He took his time to research on President Lula of Brazil. The notes that I'm sharing with you are based on his research. So I want to thank Comrade Ian Bidos for this work that he continues to do. In the last few days, he was celebrating his 75th birthday. He always avails himself whenever we request him to perform a task. We are indeed thankful to Comrade Ian Bidos, and we say happy birthday. It's a birthday month for our commissar. So Luis Inácio Lula da Silva was inaugurated as president of Brazil on the 1st of January 2023, after a gap of 13 years. Lula, originally a nickname which he later adopted officially, is arguably the most popular Brazilian president ever. Certainly the only one ever elected for 3 terms of office. You saw on the 1st of January, the crowd, the mass of the people that were lining the streets when President Lula took office. Lula's re-election as president of Brazil at this time has important repercussions not only in Brazil but in the world as a whole. Firstly, he has vowed to stop the destruction of Amazon rainforest, which was going on unchecked and even encouraged by his ultra-right predecessor, Jair Bolsonaro. This reckless activity was adding to global warming, as the Amazon is the world's biggest absorber of carbon and other greenhouse gases and a threat to life on Earth. Secondly, the re-election of President Lula has effectively put an end to U.S. domination of Latin America. The election of Gustavo Petro as president of Colombia, who assumed office in August 2022 in the country formerly under stringent U.S. control, was a huge blow to U.S. domination of Latin America. Thirdly, at a time when the U.S. dollar is being rapidly dropped as the major world trading currency, more especially as a spin-off of the ill-considered proxy war against Russia, the election of Lula has considerably strengthened BRICS as an organ to secure a multipolar world against the hegemon of the USA and its European satellites. South Africa is chairing BRICS in 2023. In the last few years, we have expressed concern as communists that BRICS is not moving in the direction that we had expected it to. The reactionary Prime Minister of India, the former President of Brazil. So we're very much concerned about the direction that BRICS was taking. But with the election of President Lula and also South Africa chairing in 2023 BRICS, we need to assist BRICS to move in the direction in which we want it to be. The first action taken by President Lula on his assumption of office was to reverse plans to privatize major industries in Brazil. In the rest of the SADC region, we are experiencing power outages. And one issue that has been raised is to privatize state entities as a way of addressing power cuts. Zambia goes for 12 hours without electricity. Zimbabwe goes for 12 or 18 hours without electricity. South Africa goes for hours without electricity. And this issue there then of privatization then gets raised as an alternative to end load shedding, something that we must resist. And President Lula was very clear that state-owned enterprises should not be privatized. During his first 2 terms of office, which lasted from the beginning of 2003 until the end of 2019, a period of 8 years, Brazil paid off its foreign debt, which had been the largest of any developing country by 2008. Yet in the same period, child malnutrition in Brazil decreased by 46%. During this time, the living standards of the Brazilian people rose significantly. Comrades will always say, please point us to a country that follows what one will define as left-leaning policies that has improved the material conditions of the mass of the people. Yes, Brazil is not a socialist state or a socialist country, but under the leadership of President Lula, it indeed made strides in the improvement of the lives of the people of Brazil. So who is Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva? Lula was born into a poor family in the northeast corner of Brazil in 1944. When he was still a baby, his father moved to Sao Paulo, the major industrial city in the southeast of Brazil. When he was 7 years old, his mother, together with his 7 siblings, moved to Sao Paulo only to discover that her husband now had a second family. When he was 8 years old, Little Luz started working as a street vendor to help support his family. He only learned to read at the age of 10 and had little formal education. At the age of 12, he became a shoeshine boy, and at 12 obtained his first formal employment in a warehouse. In 1961, aged 15, Luz started working as an apprentice press operator, producing screws while studying in a vocational course in a metallurgical industry. At this age, Lewis had his first contact with the trade union movement. At age 19, he lost the little finger of his left hand while operating a press. The problems he then encountered obtaining medical treatment for his injury led him to start taking a more active interest in the union. In 1964, there was a military coup against the left-wing president João Goulart, known as Django. The military dictatorship was to last until 1985. It was during this period of military dictatorship that Luiz Inácio da Silva moved up the ranks of the trade union movement and earned his nickname Lula, which in 1982 he officially incorporated into his name. We always say it's critical that every worker must join a trade union movement. And the President Lula was a worker who rose through the ranks of the trade union movement. And in the case of the diaspora or those who work in foreign countries, you must also join a trade union movement. We are pleased that our comrade in the United Kingdom is mobilizing healthcare workers, mainly from Zimbabwe, to join the trade union movement in the UK, because every worker must belong to a trade union. And to express our gratitude to also Comrade Peter Mutasa, former president of the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Union, who has also taken a keen interest in assisting the comrades in the UK to be part of trade unions. Though he's not in UK himself, but because we are in a new normal where we communicate online, and he shares valuable information on his own experiences as a trade unionist. And is helping Comrade Gargai, who's based in the United Kingdom, who has taken it upon himself to mobilize workers in the healthcare sector in the United Kingdom. These are migrant workers. And this is what Comrade Lula did. He rose through the ranks of the trade union movement. In 1975, Lula became president of the Steelworkers Union in the ABCD industrial region, just outside Sao Paulo. This is Brazil's largest manufacturing center, where Ford, Volkswagen, Toyota, Mercedes-Benz, and other vehicles are manufactured. During this period, Lula was arrested and at one time imprisoned for his union activities. In 1980, Lula and others came together to form the Workers' Party, and in 1983 he helped to found the Brazilian CUT, Brazil's largest trade union federation. The Workers' Party steadily gained support until Lula became president in 2003, during his second term from the beginning of 2007 till the end of 2010. Under the Brazilian constitution, the president takes office on the 1st of January and finishes his term on 21st December. Before that, he is president-elect. 1st of January is an important day in our calendar, not only to celebrate New Year's Day, but it is important because of the Cuban Revolution. And Comrade Lula took office on the 1st of January. Although under Lula the economy grew rapidly, living standards were improved, poverty greatly reduced, and the destruction of the rainforest slowed down. The power of the oligarchs was not seriously challenged. There was no real change in the mode of production. However, most importantly, with the involvement of Lula in 2009, BRICS was formed, that is Brazil, Russia, India, China, and with South Africa being added the following year to form BRICS. This grouping, which contains more than 40% of the world's total population, is now challenging the hegemon of the USA and its European satellites. They can no longer be called allies, as their involvement in the current war against Russia, which contravenes their own economic and political interests, clearly demonstrates. Charges of corruption against Lula and other members of the Workers' Party were progressively made by the super corrupt oligarchs and magnified by the media, which was under their control. The court, or the judiciary, was used as a weapon against President Lula and other progressive leaders in Brazil. It will take a whole book written by a skilled investigative journalist to discover which of these allegations were true, at least in part, and which were totally fabricated. One of the things as revolutionaries, post-liberation in Africa, we need to do is for the workers to gain hegemon over the state. The judiciary is used by the ruling class to fight progressive leaders, as seen in Brazil. But in the rest of the continent, the judiciary is used as a tool to fight the working class. It's critical that the working class gain hegemon over the state. Lula was succeeded by Dilma Rousseff, also of the Workers' Party. She took office in January 2011 and was re-elected, taking office again in January 2015. By then, the scandal broke out, that the Petrobras scandal. It emerged that a Dutch company, SBM Offshore NV, bribed members of the Brazilian Petroleum Corporation Petrobras in order to get a lucrative offshore contract. Rousseff was on the board at that time. The right-wing press was used to destroy her. There were demonstrations across Brazil, and by August she was impeached by the Brazilian legislature and removed. But although the corruption was real, there was no evidence linking President Rousseff to it. Her term of office, which was scheduled to be completed on 31st December 2018, was completed by Michael Temer, who was not a member of the Workers' Party, but of its coalition partner, PMDB, or Brazilian Democratic Movement. Temer began to give way to the oligarchs, especially with regard to the destruction of the Amazon rainforest. At the election of 2018, Jair Bolsonaro of the extreme right won an electoral victory over the Workers' Party candidate, Fernando Haddad. Bolsonaro assumed power on the 1st of January 2019 and immediately introduced the tax cuts for the rich and austerity for the poor. The destruction of the Amazon rainforest accelerated, and he denied the importance of COVID-19, leading Brazil to have one of the world's highest death rates from the pandemic. He was a Donald Trump of Brazil. But we'll talk about Donald Trump in another video when we relook into the US foreign policy, particularly with respect to the war in Ukraine. Other comrades argue that if Donald Trump was president of the United States, the war would not have happened, or NATO would be weak by now. But it's a discussion that we'll have to engage on some other time. The corruption, which for sure had involved some members of the Workers' Party, was multiplied tenfold. Lula had been arrested in 2016 on trumped-up charges and imprisoned for nearly 2 years, and otherwise would have been the Workers' Party candidate at that election. But telegram messages between the judge in Lula's case, Sergio Moro, and the lead prosecutor were leaked, demonstrating that they had conspired to convict Lula to prevent his candidacy for the 2018 presidential election. The destruction of the living standards of the majority of the people under Bolsonaro led to the victory of Lula for an unprecedented third term. Bolsonaro did not wait for the traditional handing over power by one president to his successor. He has fled to the United States. In Brazil, he is now facing prosecution in absentia for his crimes. It appears that some of the compromises made by Lula in his first 2 terms of office will not be repeated as the power of the IMF and the World Bank diminishes and the strength of BRICS increases. We will see more clearly as the situation unfolds. What are the lessons for us in Zimbabwe, the working class and the peasants? We are going to an election in 2023. The majority of the working people in Zimbabwe are rallying behind a non-trade unionist as an alternative to President Emerson Mnangagwa. We always have this discussion with comrades to say, why would the workers in Zimbabwe rally behind Nelson Chamisa and his Triple C? It's a discussion that we must have, drawing lessons from what is happening in Brazil. Yes, as we explained in the previous videos, we will explain in future videos that indeed the MTC was established by the workers in Zimbabwe. But it is also true that the workers have lost the control of what is now Triple C, which then raises the question, why support Nelson Chamisa and Triple C? Let's hear your views, comrades, on President Lula. We'll discuss about Triple C and why the workers support Nelson Chamisa and his party, notwithstanding what we also see in our major cities, which we previously spoke about. But what are the lessons for us with respect to President Lula? Please share your views, write in the comment section. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. Otherwise, Amandla Comrades.